Welcome back to another edition of Get Well Acadiana. Thank you for joining me today on this fine Saturday morning. I'm Dr. Kevin, the Senior Vice President of the Bryant Wellness Institutes. We're Louisiana's most advanced functional medicine institute, and that means that we use some amazing new technologies to treat today's most complicated health problems without drugs or surgery. And this show's a little bit different. The goal of this show is not just to give you something interesting to listen to. The goal of this show is to change people's health, to actually change people's lives. It is possible to do more than just manage your symptoms with drugs while you get sicker and sicker and your diseases get worse and worse. The goal of this show is to show you that you can reverse the downward spiral of disease and symptoms, that there are options for you that you've not tried, and there are ways that you can become healthier. We offer proven programs using some state-of-the-art technology for today's worst, most complicated health problems, even chronic conditions like arthritis, thyroid and hormone problems, dementia and brain health problems like Alzheimer's, and even things like depression and anxiety and chronic fatigue and weight loss. And also the subject for today's show, which is diabetes. Today, we're going to talk about some truths of the terrible rates and severity of diabetes and natural ways that you could get this out of your life once and for all. So you don't want to miss the show, and especially since as much as literally half of you out there may actually have pre-diabetes or diabetes, and many of you may not even know it. These things go undiagnosed all the time, sometimes for years. And if you know someone out there with diabetes that's not listening to the show, call them and tell them to tune in. They're going to need this information that I have for you here today. Today is going to be all about blood sugar and obesity and weight management and weight loss and the role that insulin plays in your body and how you can finally get your health under control if you have diabetes or pre-diabetes or weight problems. At the end of the show today, you will understand one very important thing, and that is that diabetes is no longer a life sentence, and that it's just not good enough to manage your blood sugar and think that you're now healthy because your medication has artificially kept your blood sugar in this little box that they call normal. Because the truth is, if that's all you're doing, then you're in real trouble. Diabetes and weight problems are such a huge problem in Louisiana. So the United States has the worst diabetes and weight problems of any other country in the world, and Louisiana has one of the worst states out of the 50 states for diabetes and weight problems. So that means that we live in the highest diabetes and weight problems area on the entire planet Earth. This is a shame. Acadiana, we've got to get this under control. It's possible that as many as half of all Louisianians have diabetes or prediabetes. Half of you. Way over 2/3 of our population is either overweight or obese. And here's what's so frustrating to me about this. This is so fixable. And I also don't buy that you inherited it. You don't have diabetes because your mom had diabetes. If it were genetic, you would have been born with it. So why didn't you get it until 40? If you got it because mom had it, wouldn't you have been born with it? Now, there are many other factors other than genetics as the reason that you have diabetes. And the steps that I've laid out in our diabetes and weight management program, it actually could save your life. It could save your legs. 60% of lower limb amputations are from diabetes and weight problems. It could save your kidneys. It could save your eyesight. Diabetes is the #1 cause of kidney failure and blindness in the United States. Louisiana has one of the highest rates of obesity and diabetes on the entire earth and one of the earliest death rates. So, like I said, Acadiana, we've got to get this under control. And if you get 1 point out of the show today, if you could take away one important factor from the show today, and if I wanted you to, if I want you to leave with at least one very important thought, and that is that people feel like as long as their blood sugar numbers are artificially kept in this little box with their diabetes medicine, then they're healthy. And that's all they need to do. So they went to the doctor. Their blood pressure was off. They did some blood work, maybe routine blood work, and their doctor said their blood sugar was high. So they started taking medicine like metformin. And after a while, they went and they got it checked, and their blood sugar numbers were now within this little box they called normal. And the doctor said, we fixed it. You're healthy. No problem. Just keep taking this medicine. This is not the pathway to a long, healthy life. It's just not. Just because your blood sugar numbers are artificially kept in this little box they call normal, there's still a whole host of things going on inside your body that are unhealthy. And you're going to more likely end up with worse problems down the road, even if your blood sugar numbers are normal, are being kept artificially normal. You still have worse problems going on inside your body that have not been addressed. Remember, I said 60% of leg amputations are from diabetes. The leading cause of kidney failure and blindness is diabetes. Important point number one about diabetes is that it's not a blood sugar problem. It is an insulin problem. And insulin in high amounts is toxic to humans. So let me ask you this question. Have you ever had your insulin tested when you go to the doctor? I know you've probably had your blood sugar and A1C tested. A1C is just blood sugar over time. So all we're looking at so far is blood sugar numbers. But what about insulin? Diabetes is a disease of insulin, not blood sugar. So I'll never understand why we don't test insulin levels in the diabetic patient. If I'm going to give you medication that increases insulin in your body, wouldn't I at least want to know what your insulin levels are? We're one of the only labs that even bothers to test insulin levels. But diabetes is essentially a disease of insulin. Blood sugar is kind of like the symptom of the problem. When your insulin doesn't work right, when your cells don't process their insulin correctly, your blood sugar goes up. So blood sugar is a symptom of your insulin not working correctly and your cells being insulin resistant. Blood sugar is a symptom of your cells being insulin resistant. So the truth is, we're not even getting to the underlying issues in the diabetic patient. So we're going to dive into all this today on Get Well Acadiana, but I just want you to know before we even get started that if you have diabetes, there are some really great answers out there for you to solve this and to get it out of your life once and for all. Diabetes is no longer a life sentence, and you shouldn't be satisfied with just managing your blood sugar and thinking you're healthy. Managing your blood sugar is not good enough if you want to live a long, functional life for as long as you possibly can with both of your legs and both of your eyes and not having to go to kidney dialysis 2 or 3 times a week. So before break, I wanted to say that if you're interested in discussing your health problems with me, I would happily call you personally and have a discussion with you on the phone about the things that I think we can do in order to finally solve your health problems and get you back on the right track once and for all. So if you want me to call you back, you can call my office and leave your name on my machine. Obviously, I'm not at work. It's Saturday morning, but I will call every one of you back if you're interested in finally solving your health problems. And we can have a discussion on the phone to see what I think maybe you can do in order to get healthy. But if you'll leave your name and number on my machine, when I get to work Monday, I will call you to see if I can help you. My office number is 837-7174. That's 837-7174. And I'll give you a call Monday, and we can talk about how I think that maybe our program could help you or maybe something else can. I just want to help. So if I can't help you, I won't waste your time. The number's 837-7174. 7174, and we're going to dive into diabetes and all the details after the break. This is Get Well Acadiana. I'm Dr. Kevin. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. Thank you for joining us today. We're dedicating today's show to try to help those looking for a better answer for their diabetes and weight problems. The truth is, we're not even really getting to the underlying issues with traditional diabetic treatments. Just treating your blood sugar and your A1C is not getting to the reason that you have diabetes. Traditional treatment for diabetes is all about artificially keeping your blood sugar numbers and your A1C in this little box that they call normal. And even if you see your blood sugar numbers in this box called normal, that does not mean that everything is okay and everything is healthy. And you even see these commercials on TV for these diabetes drugs. All they talk about is reaching your A1C goal. That's the entire treatment regimen for diabetes, and it hasn't changed in years. Artificially forcing your blood sugar into this little box they call normal is basically managing the decline of your health, managing the decline of your disease. That would be like if your roof is leaking and you call the guy to come fix it. So he goes to his truck and gets a bucket and puts it in your living room floor where the water's dripping and charges you $200. The problem is not being addressed. So it's important for you guys to understand this point, that diabetes is a disease of insulin. After all, it is called insulin-resistant diabetes. Your cells have become resistant to processing their insulin. Blood sugar and A1C is a symptom of that. It's a symptom of your cells' inability to process and utilize their insulin. So blood sugar and A1C is a symptom of the problem. So here's how the story goes. Your cells begin to become resistant to their insulin, and so your blood sugar and A1C goes up. So you go to the doctor, he gives you metformin or some other diabetes drug, which simply whips your pancreas to produce more insulin. And all that extra insulin will force your blood sugar and A1C numbers to go down. There's no doubt about that. So people think, well, I'm fine, I'm fixed. But here's the problem with that. Number one is you've never figured out why your cells have become resistant to their insulin in the first place. So you'll keep getting sicker. And number two is insulin's toxic in high numbers in humans. So if your A1C looks good, but your insulin level is 3, 4, or 5 times normal, you're still in real trouble because all of this insulin is toxic and it creates inflammation. And inflammation is the precursor to almost all other chronic diseases. So here's the problem with all of this. Nobody even tested your insulin to see what your insulin levels are. And how can you not know what your insulin levels are in somebody that has diabetes? Diabetes is a disease of insulin, and it's called insulin-resistant diabetes, like I said. So the thing is, blood sugar and A1C can be managed with medication, but insulin cannot. So I can give you metformin and make your blood sugar and A1C look really pretty on paper, but if your insulin is 5 or 6 times normal, you're in trouble, big trouble. This is one of the biggest challenges that we face whenever we talk to a diabetic patient. So we really have two issues to deal with. We have two problems. One problem is trying to figure out why their cells have become resistant to insulin and how do we get them to use their insulin better and to start to work better so that they can get rid of the diabetes. But the second problem is even more challenging, and that is getting the diabetic patient to understand that just because their A1C looks pretty on paper doesn't make you healthy. In fact, it's very dangerous because it lulls you into this false belief that your diabetes has been taken care of. And this whole time, no one has even looked at insulin to see what its level is or how that's affecting your body or how that's going to damage you in the future. So that's a real shame because insulin signals fat storage and is damaging in high numbers. So insulin signals your body to store fat. In fact, it's the insulin that does the damage in many cases long term. So it's time for a totally new approach in the way that we're treating a patient with diabetes. And you'll notice that I didn't say treating diabetes. I said treating a patient with diabetes. There's a big difference in that statement if you'll really think about it. So most people with diabetes can't even really tell you what that means. They've never even really looked it up to see what's going wrong inside their body. I think patients see this as not really that big of a problem. I don't know if it's because it's such commonplace, but when I ask a patient, so tell me what you know about diabetes, many times they have no clue, which really surprises me. If someone told me that I had something as serious in my body as diabetes, something as deadly and life-altering as diabetes, I would be all over researching, Googling it, trying to find out what that means and what my body's actually doing and what's going wrong. But for some reason, they just don't see it as really serious of a problem. I guess that's because so many people we know have it. It's just, yeah, I have diabetes. They have diabetes. We all have diabetes. We're just taking our medicine and we're just living that way. Insulin's job in your body is to take the sugar that you eat and put it inside your cell to be used for energy. So your cells are designed to perform functions, to do something. A skin cell protects, a muscle cell contracts, a nerve cell transmits, a stomach cell produces acid, and on and on and on. Now, in order for your cells to perform that function, they need fuel, just like your car needs gasoline in order to run. That fuel, that gas that your cells use in order to perform that function is glucose. Insulin's job is to take the glucose molecule and to unlock your cell wall and to move that sugar inside your cell to be used for fuel. So if you're gassing up your car and you have one of those locking gas caps, the gas that you're putting in your car is like the glucose. And the insulin is like the key that's used to unlock that gas cap so that you can get the fuel in your car. In diabetes, it's if someone switched your key out and it won't fit in the gas cap. It's like the wrong key. So insulin is trying to unlock the lock to put the sugar inside the cell to be used, and that's not working. The lock is broke. Now, when this happens, you have all this extra sugar building up in your bloodstream, so your body has to store all that sugar somewhere. So it says, well, let's just build extra fat cells and we'll store the sugar there. And just like if you couldn't put gas in your car, it would run out and gas and would be all over the side of your car. As insulin builds up in your body, that becomes very, very toxic. If the sugar can't get inside the cell, you're going to run out of energy. So you're going to be fatigued and you're going to be sluggish and ran down. So at this point, you're now fatigued, you're gaining weight, and you still just may have prediabetes and not even know it. So if you have fatigue and you're gaining weight, that's an indication, even if you don't have diabetes, that you're in real trouble. Now, the other thing is that your brain requires the most energy out of any other part of your body. I think it's something like 40% of your energy requirements. I think it's 30 or 40% of your energy requirement takes place in your brain. Your brain requires huge amounts of energy and glucose in order to function. So your brain runs almost entirely off of glucose from your food. So now the person has brain fog or dementia. That's why they call Alzheimer's diabetes of the brain. Your chance of getting Alzheimer's doubles or triples if you have diabetes. The big problem with diabetes is that the lock doesn't work. It's not that you need more insulin. It's that the insulin can't get the sugar inside the cell because the lock is broken. So if you start taking metformin, all metformin we think does is whip your pancreas to produce even more insulin. And if you get enough insulin around that cell, it's kind of like it just kicks the door open and forces the sugar inside. It's like it just, if your key doesn't unlock your gas cap, so you just rip it off, forcing the gas inside your car. So if you force enough insulin around that cell, it's going to put the sugar inside the cell. And yes, your blood sugar will go down, but all of that insulin is poisonous to you. All of this insulin is toxic to humans. So the key to figuring out this whole system, the key to solving this in your body is to figuring out why your cell has stopped accepting its insulin. How do we fix the lock? How do we make the lock start working again? That's when we really get to the point. That's when we start to figure this thing out. Now we're actually getting somewhere in solving diabetes in the human body. You're listening to Get Well Acadiana. I'm Dr. Kevin. If you'd like to talk to me about natural solutions to your chronic disease, I would be happy to call each and every one of you back personally Monday when I get back into the office and discuss your individual health problems over the phone. And I'll tell you how some of our cutting-edge treatments just might be able to help you. And if I ever feel like I can't help you, I won't waste your time. So if you want to call my office right now and leave your name and number on my machine, it's 837-7174. And when I get back in the office Monday, I will personally call you back and discuss your individual set of health problems and talk to you about how I think my protocols just might be able to help you. The number is 837-7174. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. Thank you for joining us on the show today. We're discussing diabetes and just how big of a terrible problem that is for the Acadiana area. And I'm hoping to give you some facts on what happens in your body whenever you have diabetes. And before the break, we were mentioning that as the sugar begins to build up in your bloodstream, your body has to do something with it, so it begins to build extra fat cells because of all the blood sugar. And since your sugar doesn't get inside the cell to be used for energy, the person still feels lethargic and low energy. And since the brain runs almost completely off of sugar, the brain activity is largely diminished. And that's why in 2005, the Journal of Alzheimer's began calling Alzheimer's disease diabetes of the brain because of how closely associated it is to your blood sugar, insulin, and brain health. And as we've said, that insulin in very high levels is toxic to humans, and it's the extra insulin that gives you many of the side effects from diabetes long term. For example, we know folks that with diabetes have twice the risk of developing Alzheimer's, but people that take insulin have a 4 times greater risk of developing Alzheimer's because it's the high level of insulin that's toxic to the brain. So it's not good enough just to take medication and keep your blood sugar in this box artificially and to say you're healthy. And that is not healthy. As this blood sugar builds up in the body, it begins to spill over in the kidneys and into the urine. And so the body's going to begin to urinate more frequently, and we can pick this up on urinalysis. We'll actually find this in their urine. And we see this happening on urinalysis in patients all the time that had no idea they were even pre-diabetic. You'll start to see this blood sugar and glucose spill over into the urinary tract. And they had no idea until we do the urinalysis, and they're already in serious trouble. But because they haven't been told they have diabetes, they had no idea. They had pre-diabetes. This extra urination then causes them to get extra thirsty, and then the blood gets too thick, which we can pick up on their blood work. But this causes poor circulation, so the extremities start to get these non-healing wounds, and maybe their hands and feet are just cold frequently, which is another sign of prediabetes. And since the sugar's not getting into the cell to be utilized for energy, the body thinks it's starving. So you get these sugar cravings all the time and for more and more sugar. And you're constantly hungry, making the person's problem even worse. This person then begins this downward spiral of sugar cravings, hunger, weight gain, and diabetes. And as the circulation continues to get worse, these non-healing wounds progress more and more until the limbs have to be amputated. The small arteries in the eyes begin to be affected, eventually causing blindness. Diabetes is not just, all I have is this thing where my medication keeps me healthy. This is a serious disease. Just because you know several other people that have it does not mean that it's this little minor thing. And it's not good enough just to artificially manage your blood sugar. This is not the road that you want to be forced down to walk. But again, we've been misled to think as long as you're keeping your blood sugar in this one little box artificially, and my blood work looks pretty good on paper, everything's good and I'm healthy. It's not, ladies and gentlemen. It's not okay to have that. You know, many times I'll be talking to a patient that has diabetes and is on medication, and I'll say, tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how healthy do you think you are? And they'll say they're like a 7 or an 8. I'll say, yes, but you're 30 pounds overweight. You're taking diabetes medicine. Oh yeah, but that's okay. My blood work looks good, so I'm at least a 7 or an 8. It's not. That's not okay. So we have to do better. We have to come up with a better solution in order to help these patients that have a real misunderstanding about what they have going on in their body. You're listening to Get Well Acadiana. I'm Dr. Kevin, and if you'd like to talk to me about your individual health problems, I'd be happy to personally give each and every one of you that's interested a call back from my office Monday whenever I get to work. I'll pick up the phone myself and give you a call to see if I think you're a candidate for our type of care. And if I don't think I can help you, I won't waste your time or our time. But if I can help you, then we will sit down and develop a comprehensive strategy to solve your health problems once and for all and get you on the right pathway so that you can live a long, healthy life. My office number is 837-7174. That's 837-7174. And I'm not in the office today. It's Saturday. So just leave your name and number on my machine. And when I get into the office Monday, I will personally call every one of you back myself, and we can talk about what's going on with your health and see if I can help you. And I can promise you one thing. My staff and I will always listen to you with concern and treat you with compassion. That's actually our motto. Listen to you with concern and treat you with compassion. The number is 837-7174. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. I hope that you've enjoyed the show so far today. But more importantly, my goal is not just to come here and be interesting. My goal is to try to change people's lives. The reason that I spend an hour out of my day doing this show, and actually it's a lot longer than that when you consider prep, is because I truly care about people of Acadiana's health. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of work to do. We've got a long way to go in order to try to improve the health of people in Acadiana. And that's my mission, my purpose. You know, guys, symptoms are simply a sign that your body sends you telling you something is wrong. It's not what's wrong with you. It's telling you something is wrong with you. If I touch a hot stove and I feel pain from it, that pain is not what's wrong. It's telling me something else is wrong somewhere. It's like your check engine light on your car coming on. If you bought a brand new car, say you saved up for 2 years and you bought a brand new car and you're driving home from the dealer and you look down and your check engine light comes on, and then your check transmission light comes on, and then another light starts blinking on your brand new car, your dream car you saved up for 2 years. So you go back to the dealer, you drag the salesman and the mechanic out there, and they start to look it over and they say, you know what? We found your problem. Your check engine light's on. And so they put tape over it and said, that'll be $200. Thank you for coming in. Would you ever accept that with your car? So why do we do that with our bodies? Why do we spend more money than any other country in the world to cover up our symptoms and never actually get to our underlying problems? That's never going to work with healthcare in America. We're going to continue to have the most expensive healthcare system in the world as long as we continue to go down the road that we're going down. You know, America now takes 50% of all the pharmaceutical drugs on planet Earth, and we're about 4% of the world's population. We have more doctors and hospitals than any other country in the world, and we spend more on healthcare than most of the rest of the world combined, yet China and Cambodia have a longer life expectancy than we do in the United States of America. And so we have to do better. The only answer for the healthcare disaster that we have in America right now is prevention and wellness. Functional medicine solutions are the only answer, and no one's talking about it but me. And so we have got to do better. And to be honest with you, especially in the Acadiana area, I see patients all the time in my practice that have ignored their health problem for years and years because, honestly, they're just too busy. You know, there's something that we call mommy and daddy syndrome. Mommy and daddy syndrome means that I take care of everything else under the sun and I put myself where? Last. I put my health where? Last. You know, I don't have time to worry about it. I got to bring the kids somewhere. Oh, got to make the house payment. I got to get to work. Oh, my car payment's due. I'm busy. I got gas, groceries, bills, spouse. You know, right? Like the spouse even barely makes the list sometimes. So mommy and daddy syndrome means I take care of everything else for everyone else 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I put myself where? Last. But let me ask you a question. Can you take care of your kids if your health fails? Can you even make your house payment if your health fails and you can't go to work? Can you enjoy your life if you lose your health? So where should mommy and daddy's health be on the family's list of priorities? It should be at the very top of the list because without your health, you can't do anything. You can't make the house payment. You can't take care of the kids. So with most people, their health is not even on the list. That's why China and Cambodia have a longer life expectancy than we do in the good old United States of America, is because we have a priority problem whenever it comes to our health. We're all so driven to go, go, go and work hard that our health gets put on the back burner. So if you won't take care of your health for you, realize that when you take care of your own health, you're actually helping your children, you're helping your spouse, and you're helping your family. You know, I was fortunate enough to realize this about 6 years ago. Believe it or not, guys, 6 years ago, I weighed about 240 pounds. I was obese. I had sleep apnea and high blood pressure. I was borderline diabetic. And then I had my son. And I was looking into the eyes of a brand new baby boy. I thought to myself, if I want to see grandkids and I want to see graduation and weddings, I need to make a change. I was in my 40s at that time. I got started kind of late, obviously. That was 73 pounds ago. And that was 6 years ago. And I went from obese to a Louisiana State Masters physique champion at 45 years old. I know losing weight's not easy or fun. I've been there. But what it is it's doable. You can beat this and turn these things around. I know you guys don't want to pay attention to your health. I know you're too busy. I know you've got work and bills and kids and everything else. I know everybody just wants to pop a pill and keep on going. But that's going to catch up with you if you don't start to address the issues. I really appreciate you all listening today. And if you like what you've heard today and you think that my program might be right for you, I would love to have a conversation with you, a phone conversation with you about it, and to see if maybe I can help you. I will personally take the time, I don't care how long it takes, to give all of you a call back Monday whenever I get to work, and we'll talk about your health conditions and what I think you should do to solve them. And if you like what you hear, we can move forward. And if I don't think I can help you, I won't waste your time. I only accept patients that I truly feel like I can help. And if I ever feel like I can't help you, I'll tell you. The truth is, guys, I don't have to accept patients that I don't think I can help. I'm busy enough. I can barely keep up as it is. We have patients driving from literally all over Louisiana to come see us, from Baton Rouge, Alexandria, Lake Charles, literally all over Louisiana to come see us, because we get to the underlying issues of their disease processes. We really appreciate all of our patients, every single one of them. If this is something that you want to be a part of, call my office at 837-7174 and leave your name on the machine, and I'll give you a call back when I get to work Monday, and we'll see if we could get this thing figured out for you. And if you're in New Iberia, you can call Dr. Fontenot at 367-2567. Dr. Fontenot's amazing. He's the one that figures a lot of this stuff out. I just get to come on here and tell you about it. So if you're in New Iberia, you can call 367-2567. And I want you guys to know I really appreciate all of you tuning in every Saturday morning to learn ways to improve your health. It's a special group of people that will take action and do something new and different to try to become healthier. There's many people listening to this show that need to change their health, and they're going to do nothing. But it's an elite group of you who are willing to take action, to keep pushing, and to keep looking for solutions to solve your disease processes once and for all. That office number again was 837-7174. Give us a call and leave your name and number, and you'll be talking to me Monday about your health conditions on the phone. It's 837-7174. Have a good weekend. Thank you all for listening.